Hey, it's me. When we talk about evil, most of us picture something outside ourselves. For centuries, people saw it that way. They spoke about angels and devils, forces of light and forces of darkness, moving through the unseen. Back then, free will was seen as the deciding factor. Who you gave your attention to, whose influence you followed, shaped your life. In truth, most people weren't mature enough, mentally or emotionally, to make choices with that kind of clarity. Without much self-knowledge, it was easier to be swayed by fear, by the pull of lower parts of ourselves. People often felt victimized by these forces, and sometimes they even worshiped them. Fear of evil led people to serve it. Later came another shift. People began disconnecting from the invisible world altogether. That disconnection itself is one way evil shows up. It took humanity through a long period where blaming the devil was no longer an option. Instead, people had to start taking responsibility for their choices. What many dismissed as superstition was only half wrong. There are invisible forces at play, but they don't remove our responsibility for how we live. Both truths exist at once, and we're now at a place where we can begin to hold them together. Here's something I think that's important to see. Every one of us is an energy field. What we carry inside us attracts certain influences. We draw toward us what matches our inner state, whether we're conscious of it or not. To understand this better, we're going to look at 3 main ways evil shows up. So the first way evil shows up inside us is more obvious: destruction. This is the drive to harm, to cause suffering, to destroy for its own sake. What marks this is separation. The one who causes harm convinces themselves they won't feel the consequences of what they've done. They see no link between their pain and another's pain. This is the lie of separation, that what you do to another won't come back to you. The second way evil shows up is materialism. This isn't only about money or possessions. It's about the belief that dense matter is the only reality. It creates a life that feels mechanical, stripped of meaning, stripped of nature. Imagine a world where nothing is alive, where nothing changes, where there's no birth or death, only lifeless repetition. That's the distortion of eternity. It feels hopeless, as if nothing could ever be different. In recent history, the second form of evil has grown stronger. People broke free from superstition, but they also broke free from deeper levels of reality. The lifeline to the invisible world was cut, and life became flatter, more alienated. The positive side was that people had to take responsibility, and psychology emerged. The shadow side was that life became cold, disconnected, and mechanical. Now, the third principle of evil is harder to spot. It's confusion, distortion, and half-truth. It twists what is real by placing truth where it doesn't belong. It makes lies look like truths, dressed up in the right words so they're hard to question. This creates chaos in the mind and makes us doubt what's real. And it's not just a tool of evil, it is evil in itself. All 3 show up in the world around us and inside us. That's what makes this so urgent. The destructive impulse wants us to hurt others. The materialist impulse wants us to believe there's nothing beyond the body. And the principle of distortion wants to keep us lost in confusion, unable to tell what's true. These forces feed off of our lower self, our fear, our hidden motives, our lack of faith. And the less we recognize them, the more easily they use us. Here's the key. These same forces can become medicine. Yeah, these same forces can become medicine. The pain of confusion shows you where clarity is missing. The pull toward destruction shows you where healing is needed. The numbness of materialism shows you where life wants to break through. Each force, once seen, can call you back to God. Evil is not outside God's laws. Even Satan bends to those laws. Nothing in creation escapes them. The truth is that evil was allowed a sphere so that it could eventually be overcome, so that every soul could learn through it, heal through it, and choose differently. This is why the real opponent of evil is not some abstract idea. It's Christ. When Christ walked the earth, he showed that even in the face of the strongest temptations and darkest influences, it's possible to remain aligned with God. That act opened a doorway for all of us. The Christ light is unbearable to evil spirits. To them, it feels like pain. And here's something to notice in yourself. Sometimes when you open to love, happiness, or deep fulfillment, you might also feel restlessness or anxiety. You might even want to close down. That reaction is a smaller version of how the dark reacts to Christ's light. It shows where a hidden part of you still resists being exposed. No amount of surface level prayer or good intention can override that. You need to let those hidden parts come into awareness so the light can reach them too. This inner battle between light and darkness plays out in each of us, and it plays out in the world around us. Which side we serve depends on what we choose, moment by moment. Evil will always try to disguise itself. It may appear as truth while it's actually distortion. It may appear as reason while it's actually separation. That's why asking honest questions matters so much. What is the truth here? And do I even want to know the truth? If we ask these honestly, even if the answer at first is that part of us that doesn't want truth, light begins to seep through. Thoughts aren't harmless. They carry energy. They create outcomes. When we indulge in blame, suspicion, or distorted thinking, we feed the field of darkness. When we seek clarity, even through small steps, we weaken its hold. The choice is always present. And here's something I feel that's humbling. Sometimes the more developed you are, the more strongly evil will test you. Not because you're bad, but because even the small, unpurified places in you give off a stronger pull than the larger shadows in someone less aware. That's why awareness, humility, and honesty are so vital. Evil is real, and so is good. Both live within us, both move around us. The more deeply we face this, the more we learn how to turn even the presence of darkness into a guide that brings us back to life, back to God, back to what is real. Love you. Connect soon.